Welcome to Field Day, everybody. I'm Andrea Williams. I'm the former board president of the California Native Grasslands Association, and I'm going to talk to you today about California's grasslands. They are diverse, resilient, dynamic, and not very well understood because of the deep variety that they show both over a single season and in between seasons. The California Native Grasslands Association, our mission is to promote, preserve, and restore the diversity of California's native grasses and grassland ecosystems through education, advocacy, research, and stewardship. A little bit about the grasses of California. The grass family, or Poaceae, is the fourth largest flowering plant family in the world, between 10 and 11,000 species, between 500 and 800 genera. It's actually one of the families that has the most synonyms. So it's not just one name for some of these, it's 3 or 4. Over 500 species in California, and a little over half of them are native. Most of the grasses in California that are native are perennial, but there are 51 native annual grass species. About 10% of California currently is grassland, and there are oak savannas and oak woodlands that also have a pretty strong grassland component to them. About 99% of grasslands were mapped as non-native annuals as of 2002, and that goes back to just sort of the difficulty with mapping such a complex and spatially and temporally diverse system. More than 80% of grasslands in California are privately owned, but only about 5% of them are managed for conservation. They are reservoirs of enormous diversity. Even though grasslands are only about 10% of California, they do harbor about 40% of all of the state's native plants. Several hundred vertebrate species use grasslands for reproduction, cover, and feeding. And as I mentioned before, they are very dynamic and resilient, but quite diverse and difficult to study. They are one of the most altered systems in the world. Cultivation, overgrazing, invasion by non-native grasses and forbs, and conversion to agriculture are some of the things that face grasslands. In California, we see a lot of fragmentation, edge effects, natural succession, just a departure from the traditional disturbance regime. So overgrazing, undergrazing, fire suppression, invasive weeds, which often take the form of non-native annual grasses. Invasive species do, if you're managing for range quality, can reduce the forage quality for both wildlife and livestock, reduce biodiversity, change the fire risk or fire frequency, alter soil chemistry, change the water and soil properties, and can also introduce diseases to native grasses and cause them to suffer. If you are looking to restore your grasslands, you should be doing weed management before, during, and after any sort of native revegetation. These are a couple of shots of some weed prevention, or not weed prevention, weed cloth. There are some intensive management options such as tarping and herbicides, and you can use disturbance, native ungulates or non-native ungulates, such as elk or cattle. Sheep as well can help to create a more natural disturbance regime. So particularly on coastal grasslands, you can see a lot of invasion by coyote brush, which is a natural thing if you don't have the disturbance of grazers and browsers. Another disturbance that is natural for grasslands and helps to regenerate them is fire, and we'll see some presentations on fire today. If you have a nice flat site, such as this, particularly one that was formerly farmed, you can farm native grasses. And this is some before and after large-scale seed planting. This is something that I believe we're going to see on the driving tour today. That is an irrigation channel revegetation. This is before and after. You can see the after revegetation with a lot of native deergrass and some native rushes. So once again, we are the California Native Grassland Association. We have several committees that you can help out with. You don't have to be on the board to help out with conservation, development and outreach, some of our workshop offerings, help with either submitting articles to Grasslands, photos to Grasslands, or helping out with reviewing and working on some of our research and science offerings. We do offer several workshops. We are working on getting those online. This is sort of our first offering, field day, moving to an online system. We do offer generally grass ID, identifying native and naturalized grasses. You're quote unquote at field day right now. We also tend to offer grassland monitoring, restoration and revegetation courses, landscaping with native grasses, and some pasture walks and sustainable and holistic grazing offerings. So we do encourage you all to be members. There are a lot of benefits to being a member of CNGA. You receive the Grasslands Quarterly Journal. You get discounts at workshops and events. You have lots of networking opportunities, and you help to support us in the work that we do to preserve and enhance these critical ecosystems. Thanks.